Hi everybody, Mature Simmer here. So heading into what's going to likely be a mini-series about Sim here. And this is what we're taking a look at, Masterplan Tycoon. So, I guess you could say you're going to get some viewpoint here from a Masterplan Tycoon master. Because as you can see right here, I achieved this achievement on Steam, and you can see 5.9% of people have done this. So I'm in that elite few, but this is actually the first game ever on Steam that I've achieved all the achievements. Now there's only 16, so they had an interesting way of doing it. Basically, if you look at this name of this game, there are 16 letters in it, and basically they just use an icon for each letter and assign an achievement to it. This is what you would be classifying as a minimalist sim. So I've gotten into a few of these from SimFest, and I would suggest if you were going to pick this up, my suggestion to you is wait for it to be on sale. I got through and did everything in under 20 hours. So this is not a game you're going to spend a lot of time in. Potentially, there is some potential replayability, and that is why I'm sharing it, because I'm curious myself how this is going to work out. So one of the things that they've done is you can see you can do classic or generated. Classic is what the game is set for initially, but generated is something that they added recently. So I think a lot of the videos that are a year ago or something like that are just going to be on the classic map because there was no other option there. I am going to go ahead and change this to key events and generated, because guided's really, I wouldn't say it's a tutorial, but it really walks you through exactly what you need to do to finish. You know, and that was the thing. Like, I finished the game, it gave me data, in essence ran kind of what you would say would be the closest that it gets to credits. So, but guided and classic can get you through that. You're looking at part of the classic map in the background, but we're going to go ahead and start a brand new save here. And so this is going to generate a random map, which is probably going to make things a little bit more challenging than the classic map. Alright, so it is going to, you know, have you move around, do things like that, zoom in and out, right click or go to the B button, and then it's going to cover some basics. Alright, so let's see what we've got here first off. So let me zoom all the way out, and let's see. Is that going to give me... Well, this is pretty wide. Usually it's not quite this wide. Now I'm wondering, let's see what we've got here. Yeah, this, well, no, mountains was on the master map. So this will make more sense as we go through things, so I'm kind of not going to get you too overwhelmed, but right now let's just take a quick look. So what we've got here, there are deposits and there are resources to some degree on the map. So these things are basically stone. Obviously we've got land and we've got water. The rest of these, the forests, honestly don't matter because your lumber camps, you can plant trees and so forth, so you can pretty much safely ignore that. You know, it's got the name inside this water piece, and that's why we can take water, but we can just pick things up and move it here. So one of the things you want to do, so this is going to be a little bit, I suppose, tips and tricks of things I learned in the 20 hours playing through this and how you're going to see things in the setup. So I don't know that I'll call them spoilers, but they were things that I had to bang my head against a little bit to figure out. If you don't want to know that, this may not be a great series for you, because I'm not going to shy away from that. But basically the short point is this travel time on any path is crucial, because another item will not spawn out of a production cell until the path is clear. So if you have it really long, and in the classic game there's a really long water path to where the storage is set up, because this is basically in a little tiny peninsula off to the left. Doesn't really help. But the first thing you do need to do, because you can't build anything, so if you right click or hit the B button as it said, if I look here at water and I highlight, you'll see that basically it says I need 2 planks, so the second number after the slash is what it tells you is the cost to build it. And then it does show you the recipe, that basically it needs to have water. So the left side is in essence your inputs, the right side is your outputs. So you need water, and then it's going to give you 1 water. So basically this is saying the well needs to be near the water. For fish, for example, still 2 planks to build, needs to be near the water, and will create 1 fish. Now if I go here, this is where things start to get a little bit more complex. Still 2 planks to build. I need to be near forest, or it needs to have forest, but the first bar is basically it's going to take forest and it's going to create 2 trees. That's the chopping mechanism. It's going to take a minute to run that, and we're going to speed things up once we get going. And then the bottom is the producing or the planting mechanism in this case. So farms, things with replenishable resources will have that. So every 30 seconds it's going to create some forest. So that's why, like I said, it doesn't really matter where we put that. So to some degree what I'm going to do is I am going to just line it up here, and you can see I have 100%. So that is also a new dynamic that likely will not be in older videos that you look at, because I think they really added that relatively recently. Alright, and then what I'm going to do is I am going to place the sawmill, but I am going to place it down here. And so you may be like, wait a minute, why wouldn't you put it over there? You just talked about how the paths are long, and that doesn't make sense. It will all make sense in a bit. So I'm going to ask you to trust me. So I am going to go ahead and put another storage here for now. And you can see now I'm kind of out of things. So I may move the sawmill up for a moment. And then once this builds, we're going to move that up. But I will reposition things in a bit. But basically, we need planks right now to build a lot of things. So that is my focus. I'm going to hit the 2 key, which is going to put me up in a little faster speed. And then we're going to move along. So as you highlight the storage, as you can see, there's kind of that circle. That is the circle of influence where maintenance can take place. So you need things to be in that circle, or they can't get maintenance if they need it. These initial things don't need maintenance, but now you can see it's starting to plant the trees. It hasn't actually sent a tree over because nothing is producing. Now we're going to get those 2 trees. So you can see now there's a tree, but even though it did 2, it doesn't send those 2 trees right away. It waits a little bit until the path is clear, and then it goes and does that. So I do like the little, you know, rrr and the sound you can hear. So and the soundtrack or the music is fun. So you know, when you're playing it, that's fine, but again, I don't want to cause myself a problem. So I am going to need another storage, so I am going to do what I was doing, and then at this point now I can click on these to break them, and then I can put these here, and I'm going to do this and this, and then put this here. I'm trying to stay out of that circle, and I'm going to do that. And you can see now when I click on this, all storage in a location shares a common storage. So this is a crucial understanding, and if you want to call it a trick in the game, is that any of these, consider them just one giant warehouse that you're creating portals to all over the map. So you're going to have a ton of these, or at least I did, you know, everywhere. That is how I did it. I felt that was the most efficient way. I honestly didn't really watch any videos on the game, so I doubt this is a unique strategy, but you know, that is what I've done. So now the other thing I'm going to do, so this is where it gets interesting. So I'm going to put this right next to it because it's telling me 100, but I may move it, and I'm going to explain why in a minute. So now I think I'm okay. So we're going to do that, but now you can see 96 and 98. So why did that happen? The reason that happened is at this point, the forest can't grow where the path is. And so there will be a little bit of deterioration. And you always need, you can see there's kind of squares on this grid. You always need one space between any of your locations. I'm going to build one more of these just so we can keep going. You know, and you can see, like, now, interesting. Why did it fall? Oh, I'm wondering if that's just because if I put that on there, if that's what it would do. You know, because this is 94, but 92... even so, I just want to keep it close, so I'm going to do that. And then we'll see. Alright, so it goes down to the 80s. And that's, again, because they're basically all losing a good amount. But, and so what that does is you can see, now it added 19 seconds, basically the 18% or so. There's a little bit of a penalty for doing what we did. But all in all, it's likely going to be pretty good and pretty helpful that way. All right, so, but what this does is the trees are coming in, and then you can see that the storage sends trees here to the sawmill and makes some planks. So if I click on the storage, this lets you start to see what you've got. So I'm already full up on water. I can't go beyond 75. Your building materials will show up here at the top of the screen. So you can see I've got 40 planks. This little green arrow is showing that I am basically generating more planks than I'm consuming. That will either be an up green arrow, and it can go up to 3 levels. So it'll have, you know, you could probably look at it like an insignia from the military, or at least the U.S. military, where, you know, it's going to have 2 of those carrots or 3 of those carrots. So, you know, you're going up from a lieutenant to a general or a corporal or whatever. I don't know the military rank orders, I'm sorry. And then subsequently it would be kind of the opposite. They'd be pointing down, and again, 3 levels. So that's something to keep track of. That's something I did not know early on. But you can see, this is building up really slowly, and we can put things on top of this if we need to in the future. But again, I may leave this one alone. I don't know that I need it. I have quite a lot of space on this map. So the other thing you're going to notice is wells, or anything like that, that is a gatherer. I'm going to call it a gathering resource. Now, it's interesting to me, why will it not let me build? Why won't it let me build a storage? Am I limited? Oh, because I don't have any stones. All right, so we're going to remedy that. So what I'm going to call gatherers, I'm going to put this one up here. Again, I'm looking for 100%. These, because they're pulling from something that really doesn't get depleted, and you may be like, wait a minute, what do you mean they don't get depleted? I can't explain it other than they don't get depleted. So I'm going to do that. But the quarry, I've never seen the rock actually diminish. And again, I played a full game. Yeah, I've got a little bit of a challenge here. So what I'm going to do right now is I am going to stop this for a second, just because it's the simplest thing to do. And I am going to toss this, and you're going to see now, because these have accumulated some stone, they're going to start spewing things out very quickly. But this is where you can, well, they've already caught up. Okay, so now I'm just going to remedy what I did very quickly. See, and you'll see 100, 100, 100. The reason it's 100 right now is it's just going to build around the lumber camp. But as soon as I start to have a path out, it's going to decrease. So see, 97, 99, and then 80. Now my guess is, see, if I do that, it's worse. So that's why I want to stay out of the circle, but I could go like right up to the edge. And so this will be a good example right here. See, I can like just eliminate that. It's going to still have a little bit of a green dot, but again, what I can do, like I saw an 86 or something, yeah, that's actually probably my best solution because it's centered. So this is another feature that happens, and I don't know if this is new or not, but you can see these are green while there's a rain cloud passing over. Some resources do better, some do worse. You'll see red dots at some point, so probably when this hits my sawmill, you're going to see my sawmill will start to slow down. You don't have to have those short or straight, but I'm going ahead and doing that just because. So there you go. So it's red. So now if I go here, see, now I've got a penalty of 15 seconds, which is not insignificant. I mean, that's 33%, where normally it would take 45 seconds. You know, now it's taking longer than that. Now, we didn't look at the green, but in the future, you know, we'll have plenty of time over this series to do that. All right, so now we've got quarry. Now, it's just reminding me, stock up on fish and water. So, fish are your other thing you need. Again, the benefit you have is they just need stuff. Now, if I go to the quarry, same thing. So far, everything in Tier 0 works very, very similarly. This, I'm going to see if I can make it work. Gets a little challenging. You can't overlap there, so you can see the little bit of a problem that I've got. Now again, I can remedy this by simply making my path go there, and then again, as long as it can curve around, so there we go. So now we've got fish coming in, and we need to get 10 fish. We've already gotten 10 water. So settlers love to eat. In order not to wait so long, you can try to increase the speed of the game. That's where it tells you hit 1, 2, or 3. Again, we'll move things around as we need to. I try to keep the storages initially at least a little across from each other. It'll make a little bit more sense as I go through. But think of this at this point. From here down is going to be my first production space, is what I'm going to call it. All right, so now we've got the brick mission. So we need to send some bread and some stone to the brick mission. And you're probably like, wait a minute, bread? We don't have bread. Well, this is how the game is going to give you a little bit of info. Now, in the other situation, like, it would have walked us through it a little cleaner, but because I took the, hey, I know what I'm doing, just give me key items. So you can see Tier 0, now we have a Tier 1. We've literally done everything. We've got storage, we've got fish, we've got water, we've got plank, we've got stone. You don't necessarily have to do everything in every tier for it to unlock the next one. That just happens to be what happened now. So here we go, bread. We're going to need farm, we're going to need mill. We already have a well, that's from Tier 0, so that's already part of what we've got, in a bakery. So we've basically got 3 buildings. So this is the first time now we see something new. You'll notice over here, and I can't go point at it, but underneath the recipes you've got maintenance. 1 fish, 1 water. This farm, as it produces, is going to need fish and water to continue to function. You can see again the cost now. 4 planks, 3 stone. I've got plenty to go. We also have brick up here because we've got a Tier 1. So when I talked about, well, okay, this is a farm. So this is a production space again, so this gets a little tricky. So let's see, I'm gonna put my farms up here just because. So I'm gonna put a couple of them, and once again these should be 100. Like, there's plenty of room here. I'm gonna need a storage, so I'm gonna put it again as slow as I can make it. So again, right now it's 100, but as soon as I extend the line, well, it's still showing 100. Usually that'll change, although farms, I think, are a little bit more forgiving. Now, if I overlap these, you'll see it's 69%. because I ran out of the water and so forth. But now I've got grain going in. And so when I talked about this being my production area, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to put the mill up. I'm actually going to go up here. I know what I'm doing. I'll explain it maybe later as I go. These aren't really tutorials, but they will help you learn. So here we go. Grain, and the grain that's now going up there is now coming down. Now I need to stretch this out a little bit because otherwise I'm creating a collision. Now I could have, I can't really do much there. So it's nice in that you can move things around. And the last thing I need is a bakery. I don't have enough room, but what I'll do is I'll move that up there, and then we'll put this there, and we should be good. And then we're going to start creating some bread. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here near the brick mission, and I'm going to put a storage right there. Again, something I learned over the time in playing, not something I knew right away. So again, we've got meal. See how fast the meal in the water is just pouring in there? It'll go ahead and fill in until the maximum inputs are done. Then it turns red. So it's showing us, hey, I'm full here. This is now telling me 2 meal, 1 water is going to make 3, let's say, loaves of bread. And it needs 2 fish and 2 water. So if I don't have enough coming in, this will stop producing when this wears out. Typically seems to be about 3 cycles of the production building. Sometimes it's a little bit less. What you'll see, we'll watch this at this point. It may line up evenly, but sometimes what will happen is like it's not, it ran out, it had to get maintenance. It could have frozen just before it was done, but it had enough fish. So this is when it's important to check. Now the building materials, not necessarily a concern that they're shrinking, because they're shrinking because I built. What I'm really looking for here is my fish and my water. They're no longer green as they were, but they're not red yet, so I'm okay. And here again, grain is going up even though I'm using it. So now if we go to the lumber camp, now that it's green, see, I'm now taking 12 seconds off, but don't forget I wasn't at 100%, so it's not 12 seconds off the 45. It's 12 seconds off of the problem I had when it wasn't raining. So now as it goes out, now you can see now we're 17 seconds added onto the minute. So again, a pretty significant shift. It really ended up being almost 30 seconds because it's really the plus 17 and the minus 12 or whatever it was. So hopefully all that makes some sense. All right, so why isn't this ticking up? We're sending bread in there. The reason it's not ticking up is we need to send it to the brick mission. So the way we send it, again, left side inputs, right side outputs. So, and again, just to work ahead, I'm going to probably, I can't fit it there, so I'm going to put it, I probably can't fit it in any great spot, but I'm going to put it there. And then that will let us link up the bricks when we need to. So there we go. All the stones have been sent. And we just don't have enough bread made yet. Because if we look, oh, we do. It's just, so it sends it one at a time. You can see what it's doing. It's basically like rotating back and forth. All right, so clay pit brick factory. Now this is telling you here in this box that it's expecting me to do this in the brick mission, not in master. So you can click here, or you can go up to the top here to this compass and switch between things. So here, a whole new map. Kind of looks like Australia, honestly. Look at that. Got Sydney Harbor over here. I think that's where it would be. I'm thinking that's entirely random, but that is just very, very strange that it did that. So again, now I've only got plank, stone, brick. I don't have access to the same things that are in the master because all I can do is send these things over. So I need my storage first, and now there we go. We're going to get this stuff over. It's going to continue to send stuff over, and that may or may not be good because once again, like this is now going to fill up here, and that means I have less bread over there. So the new thing we have here, this is clay. So when it says we need a clay pit, it's all kind of rinse and repeat now. But you'll notice some of the things will be the same, but some may be different. So we're doing clay pit in a brick factory. Why is this not filled in? Because I don't have enough material. You can see I need some planks. So this is important to keep in mind. I can't bring planks over. So what does that mean? It means I need to rebuild my infrastructure here again, and you kind of need to do that you know, as quickly as you can. And I am going to, let's see, 90 because I have stuff built. So I'm going to put it there. And then I'm going to put a sawmill. And yeah, okay. That'll work. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw this in. Let's see if this will work. Not quite. Well, I can do this and then do that. So you play around a little bit, because basically what I need is I need some building material going. So it's a bit of rinse and repeat as you go into things. And I would say it probably took me 3 or 4 hours of playing before I really kind of started to get that inherently. That I'm like, well, I can build these production spaces and then, you know, do things a little bit differently. So, you know, other than the resources, again, storage has no maintenance. It just basically takes, you know, the 4 planks and 4 stones. So it's not nothing. You know, that's the other thing to keep in mind. Like, it does take a bit. Now, again, it's important that stone come over, because there's no stone on this brick mission. We just have trees, water, and clay. So it gets kind of crucial, but eventually we shouldn't need bread. Okay, so let's see. I want another storage item, so I'm just going to build it, and I'm going to move things around. I actually need 2 more, so let's just pop those in. And so my methodology, not necessarily the right methodology, but the reason I want 2 of them is I'm in essence doing the same thing. I want the paths as short as I can make them. So let's see, am I cutting in? No, I am not. Okay. So again, I am going to then make this my production space. I'm going to put this here. I'm going to do that, and then we'll be all set. We're going to keep this out here, and then what I can do again is I can very quickly throw in another lumber camp. Interesting that it went down that much. It shouldn't go down. Oh, I know why it did. I want to put it up here. Because again, I'm part of my piece is cutting in over there. All right, but at this point, you know, now we're 98, 91. We probably don't need as many trees here, but now I've got stone coming in, and now I can start to build my other things. So, clay pit. Okay, can't build a brick factory, but I can do this, and for now, we'll just put it right there so we can have basically a nice straight shot. And I'm thinking I can actually really bring that really close, and then as it produces, we'll be good. Bread, beer, clothes. So this becomes the challenge. And what you'll start to see is sometimes the maintenance of something you're familiar with is not going to be the same. So at this point, I have a clay pit, but I really need other things before. So you do need to be careful that you build your tier 1 items pretty quickly. So we're going to do some fish. So I tend to do a couple. It's interesting that it's not letting me do it quite at 100. So you know, you're always trying to maximize it so you have as few penalties as possible. You tend to need more water than you need fish, I found, and actually water's faster. Water's 15 seconds, fish are 30. I'm working on, I'm debating on putting together, in essence, production sheet, for lack of a better term. So you can see water's already full. I filled my queue with 3, where I can do 6 fish, but it's also not quite there. So now you'll see stuff just flying out of these things. Again, as quick as the path can clear, but this is why your distances are important. So this is why I do a lot of storages. Like I could have like moved that storage down, ran it over, and that's what I did in the beginning, but things then take a while, and they don't need to do that. So we now have water going on. Again, you're doing the same check, so you can see double grain. Planks are just flying because I'm not really building anything, but as soon as I start building, it's going to change. All right, so we got plank, stone, fish, storage. So we've got everything in tier 1, but now we can't neglect the fact that we still need our farm. And again, I'm just picking some random places. All right, and I probably want to go clear that wood out because otherwise my guess is it's not going to be a full percentage. So again, all I'm doing is collecting grain out here. My production is still going to be over in this space. So we're going to go ahead and do that. See, now, no, it's actually giving me 100. Now it's going to decrease it again because I've now got a path going out. So it's not going to be perfect, but now I have grain, which I can now use here. And then again, it's just going to start throwing grain in there as quick as it can as it's coming in, and it'll either fill, or in this case now it's caught up with what I had. And then, you know, again, so there is a little bit of inefficiency where obviously things are going, but what you'll find is, like, water's probably going to be a good example. We're likely going to fill up the queue, and it's going to turn red before you know, we're done producing things, because again, now this is 45 seconds. So it's taking a bit of time, and so let's just see. So now, okay, so beer and clothes to do clay. So I do need all of the chains. Again, I have a farm, I have a well, I need a brewery. Now that I'll be able to put up here, because that's not as tall as the mill. So there are things that are shaped differently, but for the most part, as you can start to see, size is very similar for certain types of productions. Things get a little bit bigger over time. And again, we're going to send grain, water, beer. Again, just a quick check. We've got the triple, so water is going very, very fast. And that, again, is partially because we're very close. We have multiple things. Planks, we're running out. But again, we're building. Eventually, we're going to stop. Now we have 2 buildings we haven't built before. Sheep. So, pretty sure if I place that there, it's going to be a problem. But I can place it out here. And I'm going to go ahead and put the sewing workshop there. So now you can see farm field is going to speed up. So we're going to get grain production going crazier, but I think sheep are going to be a problem. So now when I go, again, 93 and 96, but if I had built further in, I think it would have been a problem. Now this does the same thing. Those are sheep, even though they're brown circles, but they're sheep. And so, you know, it's at 88%. Some of the reason is likely what I had there. Let's see, 92. So let's do that. That's good enough. 93, 96. So you're sometimes checking that. And once again, kind of what I said here, like now if I move that back, so you can see it was 96, mainly because I had the forest encroaching on it. Now that I moved around and basically got rid of the forest, I'm good. Alright, so now we just need to make this connection. So now this is where we start to see some challenges. So, and again, unless the whole path is red, it's okay. Because basically what this is showing is I don't need stone and bread, I'm full. So stone is at 75, and then bread is at 75. So at this point I can break this link, and ultimately I could break the link on the other side, but if nothing else, it's just going to hold 10 bread here. You know, again, if I'm trying to be really efficient, I can leave this link, go break the link on the other end, it won't replenish, and then eventually it'll go ahead and do that. Alright, so at this point, I don't want to put more storage, but I probably want to take advantage of the fact here. So I'm trying to think this through a little bit. I'm moving this down here because I still want to keep this close, but again, this can be my feeder for another production column. And so in essence, this is kind of what we're doing, and then we can go here and go to the brick and put the brick factory in. And again, as long as it's in some storage influence, it's going to be able to get maintenance. And so once this builds, and I think I'm going to go ahead and probably wrap up this initial episode this way. I think we're getting close. Alright, so now you can see we got brick, bread, clothes. As before, we need to send some resources from the list below. It won't be sweet without them. Now again, this is to the steel mission. Now, this is then the last piece I need here. I'm going to put this here because the way I get bricks to the steel mission is I go ahead and obviously get them moving. So there we go. So you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's probably the queue, but that's what it made so far. Again, it's not going to add that because I haven't gotten it to the steel mission. So bread, beer, clothes, it needs all that. You're basically, you know, clothes are going up, bread and beer, no indicator, and then you can see we've opened level 2, but we don't need those here right now. Doesn't mean we won't need them later, but that's our situation. So basically what the game does is it creates these missions to go and learn or get a certain type of thing, but it has some planning and logistics challenges in that. For example, on my input, I can only bring in stone and bread. I can't bring in beer. I can't bring in clothes, for example. So you start to have to figure out what you need to create. So again, I'll go back here. We now have 3 because we have steel mission. So now what we need to do is figure out where that is. So there it is. And then what we'll do is we just, again, place a storage there, shortest path, so that we can just get going, but we're only going to be able to get some of these. So again, we're gonna do a little bit. We're going to connect all of these. Okay, so bread is going, and then so here is the piece we didn't connect. So there we go. And now the bricks are going to come out, and then they're going to get delivered into the steel mission here. So there they go. So now you can start to see. So hopefully you're getting to understand. So basically, you know, it goes in here, comes out, like again, now I can go here. We'll do what I said. We'll cut the bread. We're going to want to keep stone because there is no stone in the brick mission. If I cut that off, I basically starve it of resources that it's going to need, potentially. So again, I've gotten all the bread I need. At this point, you know, it's full. It can take 10. I don't have to go into the steel mission and collect things, and you can see we're going to have a potential to get coal, steel, and steel beams out. You know, again, why don't I have beer and clothes? I built beer and clothes, but I built beer and clothes in the brick mission. I don't have beer and clothes in the master. So our next steps in the next episode are going to be to remedy that. So that is a lot of what you have going on. Now we have a fully fleshed out, for the most part, lumber camp. So now you start to see the efficiency. And the path here basically requires things to be open. Now there are these other little pieces I'm going to mention that are called pillars. I'm going to build one and then I'm going to get rid of it because I don't need it. So pillars basically are connecting points, and they have an in and out, but they basically move one item at a time. So like if I had 3 trees filling in, like yes, I could get a little more efficient, but getting the trees to the storage wouldn't be as efficient. So I can recycle this, and then we get some of that material back. But everything you can see is kind of full, and this is red because if we look, you're going to see that planks are at 75, which we can also see up here. Similarly with stone. So you're going to have situations where things aren't running. Stone's down here, but you can see they're all red. So, you know, they're not doing anything because I don't necessarily need anything. You know, they're working, which is a little unique because you can see they're really not. The bar isn't moving. So that is the one thing. The game will make noises like they're working, but they're not necessarily working because it's the same thing. Fish and water we've maximized and so forth. But anyway, so yeah, it's a lot of going back and forth in some cases, but basically think of this as a supply chain logistics sim. It's kind of the master plan. You're just trying to figure out the best way to keep things going, and the goal of this is to just keep building your complexity, and this will get a little crazy, especially on the master, because the master is, as you would assume, the master. So next time we're going to take a look at the steel mission, because that's where we need to go. We're going to figure out what is going on, but if you're interested in this, certainly let me know. There's a couple other minimalist sims that I've been playing with a little bit. Not nearly as involved as this one, which is why you know, I'm doing this one and bringing it to the channel, because I do think there might be some interest from folks in this. I'm not sure about the other ones, but let me know. Hey, if you're just like, hey, give us a look, let me know what you're doing, show us what you're doing, and you know, people can chime in and so forth. But I don't anticipate this going on indefinitely. I mean, you know, the replayability that they've introduced into the game is these generated maps, because in theory, if you do another generated map, it's just going to be a different shape, different size, and all of that will change. Where the classic map, everything's set in certain locations. So every time you played a game with classic, it would be exactly the same. I mean, yeah, you could set up your chains a little different, place your buildings somewhere else, but if you know how to beat it, in essence, you know how to beat it, where you could potentially get some unique features here. So that is something that the developers have added to add to replayability, is this generated map thing. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. If you've enjoyed this and haven't dropped a like, please consider doing that. If you are not a subscriber to the channel, please consider doing that, so that as things like this come up, as I come upon something new that I'm sharing and delving into, that you don't miss out on it because you're just you know, Googling or searching for whatever sim you enjoy watching me do, and then you don't see anything new. Those things don't send you email, don't send you spam. You're not going to get bombarded with anything. It just makes it easier for you to see things on YouTube, and it helps with the channel as they see there's more subscribers and more likes on videos. It just, the algorithm loves that and says, hey, there's things to see here that people are enjoying. Let's present it to more people, and that helps grow our community here. and I will see you next time.